following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all nerds! International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system created by Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both the players and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me as always are my good friends and excellent co-hosts, Chris Holmes and Stefan Dragonspawn. Chris, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Man, so much has been going on recently. I have aliens in my computer now. Got a new computer, so that's freaking sweet. Finished that campaign with Jamie on Thursday night. That rocked. That was pretty sweet, dude. That was a nice epic ending. Just been playing around with the computer a bit. Yeah, I've been playing WoW, of course. Haven't been sleeping.
Last weekend you had how many characters die in one weekend?
I had a couple. I had one get eaten by a mimic, greater mimic. Ran by my co-host Tony Vanning, and that was
so sorry.
No, don't apologize. It was epic.
No, you're not.
It was great because it's like rawr, and it's insta death. What? Okay. Anyways,
it was quite the crit.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, how about you, Stefan? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Work is a little crazy, but now I've got my weekend, my 3-day weekend. Still working on my Dragonstar conversion, reading some PDFs of the original 3.5 edition to try to get some more ideas. Great. And I'm looking forward to the next show, which will be, of course, something related to that. We'll discuss it at the end of the show. But yeah, I'm stoked for that. Cool. Now, if we can just get some more internet up here, I'll be set.
You don't have enough
the usual
internet, huh?
Just enough.
Just enough of it?
Yeah.
How about you, Tony?
Yeah, how about you, Tony?
Oh, I've been doing pretty good. Working. Just hanging out with the missus.
Nice.
We've been doing all of our yard work and enjoying the fruits of our labors. We sat out on our deck the other night, just had drinks and listened to music, and I grilled a bunch of ribs. Good night.
Oh,
that's good.
Today I grilled brats in the rain.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers to that, dude.
Yeah, I've done that.
I grilled a ribeye in the rain. I feel a song coming on. Maybe it could be a bard. Songs our bard might sing in the setting of meat. The Age of Meat,
yes.
Right?
The Age of Meat?
No, Age of Myth. We're going to discuss Age of Myth today, not Age of Meat.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's got to come later with time.
Yes.
So yes, today we are our show topic is the setting spotlight on the Age of Myth.
Cool.
But before that, we do have a little bit of listener feedback, finally.
Ooh, someone wrote in.
Yeah, from Michael Reese over across the pond in the UK. It says, hello, and thank you for boosting the signal on my Genesys game, PSI, I think. The price, $5.01, is just a quirk of the conversion rate. Yeah, we had mentioned in that show that it was $5.01 as opposed to $4.99.
Right.
He says, I'm in the UK, and I priced it at £4, and that's the conversion rate. So,
nice. Would have been better if you were messing with us over here. It's a Psy book, mind games. That's great. That's awesome. That is awesome.
He says, glad you like the layout. Style guide is a great help to make things look professional. Genesys does have a little extra headache of having its own font, the symbols, which you have to be careful of inserting at the right place, but it is worth it to make a product look good. I hope there is enough material for you to get your money's worth out of it. And I wanted to produce something that would provide something for everyone. So no matter the genre or setting, you'd find an approach to psychic powers that worked for you. Keep up the good work on your podcast. Thanks, Michael Reese.
Nice.
Thanks for writing us, Michael.
Yeah, appreciate
thank
that,
you.
Michael. I like how you phrased that in your email there, Michael, that it's an approach to take into psionics or psi things.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great attitude to have. It's like, hey, here's a start. Here's how I do it. If you guys haven't thought about it, here's a place to start. And making it generic like that would get more replayability out of it in a couple different genres, you'd think. So kudos to you, Mike.
It's a kind of a toolbox of psionics, just like Genesis is.
Yeah.
So, cool. Nice.
Very nice. So, with that being said, that's our only listener feedback. Let's head on over to Boosting the Signal.
All right. Well, hey, welcome to Boosting the Signal. This is where Stefan shares all of the hot and steamy Genesis news. Off the wire, fresh stuff that you all have put up there for us. What you got for us, man?
All right. So the Foundry has quite a few things recently. Mm-hmm. So focusing on 4 new little products here. The first one is Mr. Neil Cobbs. He gives us something called Hero Time number 1, Lair of the Plague Doctor. Dun, dun, dun. It's a 19-page little quest book set in a custom world of Verbus. He says it's illustrated in a uniquely gorgeous hand-drawn style. And I clicked on the full preview just to see. Yeah. And there might be a little bit of sarcasm there, a bit of tongue-in-cheek, because let's say it's not the Realms of Tyranoth standard, but whatever. It's but it seems to be a cool little adventure, taking that aside. But so the little adventure has 5 pre-gens already, 6 monsters, and a map, and so you even include some cutout tokens if you want to use some of that.
Oh, cool.
All of that for $4. So a little adventure.
Nice.
Maybe it could be good for introducing people to Genesis. So link in the show notes for that. And then we have Sir Giri Raman, or Mrs. Giri Raman, I don't know. I'm sorry. Is another fan who offers us Realms of Tyranoth goodness in the form of the product called Tyranoth Exotic Species. So some of the species are creatures that were spread out in the books or other game sources based off of Tyranoth. He gives stats for them as player races. The dragon hybrid, the beastman, the minotaur, lizardman, Macam, type of centaur, the Vantala centaur, with new talents, gear, adversaries as well, and allies focusing on mounts for some of these characters. Even some role-playing tips for them, and some organizations, as well as NPCs to introduce these exotic species into your game.
Or maybe barding. Do they have barding saddle you can buy for yourself if you're playing a centaur? That'd be good.
Maybe that would be part of the gear, I would imagine. Like, even a dragon hybrid, minotaur, and centaur would need specific types of gear, not just a regular super plate mail, of course. So $3.99 US, and then we have our good friend Chris Markham, in cooperation with Randall Mason, gives us Vile Villains, also for Realms of Tyranoth. So 8 new villains that are, fleshed out, detailed from the lore. He takes all of the information from the various lore that's been published by FFG, and they created one unique one as well. And each villain is described, illustrated with their background, motivations, and even descriptions of the lair. So a good villain needs a lair, of course, to be rated. And so that's a good 12 pages for only $2.
I'm currently in my lair.
Oh, of course.
Me too.
Yes, I'm in my dragon's lair. So.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm. All right. And finally, a recent addition to the Foundry called Salvage, a sci-fi junk punk setting that maybe Chris may be familiar a little bit with.
Oh, hells to the yeah. I love that setting.
Yeah. Because, originally it was offered before the Foundry came up online. You had found it on the interwebs and the dark web and stuff, and it was one of your 50 pieces of awesome focus.
Oh, heck yeah.
So Gerard Matthews actually reworked it, gave an awesome layout from what I could see.
Cool.
Great new kick-ass art and cover. So 4 new archetypes, careers, 50 new talents, 16 careers, some new rules about psychic powers, which I remember the original Salvage, which was a little different than the standard magic. You broke it down into different types of psychic, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. Again, a bit like Psi, a different way of seeing psychic abilities. And new rules for salvaging scrap and making stuff with it to build and modify your gear.
Sweet. So,
and he says there's a teaser on DriveThruRPG for feature supplements and adventures. And all of that for $9. Yeah, and so there'll be some more support, and all of that for $9.99.
Cool. I definitely want to run. So my next actual play I'll be running for you guys is going to be in that setting, Salvage.
Ooh,
so
cool.
Heck to the yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'll get it and look through it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So that's it, what I have for this week. So.
Whew. Well, that's a lot of radar you're spitting out there. Great for those guys out there. Hopefully that gets some more pennies in their pockets and gets some people out there to hear about these new products. Get them if you want them.
Yep.
That's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, then let's move on to the next segment.
Yeah. There were a few other things that came out almost like right after I put those show notes. Like, okay, I can't do the whole thing. I'll keep them for next time.
That's right.
All right, welcome to our next segment, the 50 Pieces of Awesome, where Chris finds something really cool and free on the web and explains what it's all about to us. What do you got for us today, Chris?
Well, something we kind of found a couple weeks ago when we were doing we're setting up the show with Guillaume. He had created a character in something called RPG Sessions. I haven't seen this out there yet, and we went and played around with it a little bit. We created characters, and I created a character tonight for Advantageous Threat for it. This is created by Zszree and Dallas. I'm sure there are others out there doing it. I believe that RPG Sessions, that group has taken over the the open source version of the Genesys Emporium that Sky Jedi had had created. So they're doing a bit there. They have a Twitter page, Instagram. I hopped on their Discord channel the other day too. There's like dice rollers, character sheets, and more. Oh my! Supporting Core, the Tiernoth, Shadows of the Beanstalk, and they even have a Star Wars template for you folks out there. They also support vehicle creation. And then you can roll some dice from your character. What's really cool is on your character sheet, as long as there's a valid URL to an image, you could link that. And pop it up on your character too. Save I linked it to my Google account, and save characters, import characters. Very polished looking, very intuitive.
It's been around for a couple of years, before even you started the show, but it was just a dice roller when it started.
Okay.
They had the Genesis dice, Star Wars dice, and numbered dice, and that's it.
Okay.
But it's a work in progress. They even have a Patreon. If you are on their website, you can become a Patreon and encourage them, so they'll keep adding features, and you can fill out, I think, a survey what you might be more interested in seeing as features.
Yeah. Now, when I was creating my character, there was one thing in the talents that they're missing, and that is the what do you call it? Active incidental out of turn incidental.
Mm-hmm.
There are incidentals you could take during your turn. Some of these, but they don't have the option to select an out of turn incidental. So guys, got to add that. Other than that, this is good stuff.
Yeah, it's very nice looking. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Tony, any comments, questions?
I
thoughts?
loved it when I used it to make Big Amos for the live play with Guillaume, or the actual play with Guillaume. I used it for that. It was nice. Now that we can make our characters for our advantageous threats or whatever, and we can just put a link in our show notes instead of posting the whole character. So it's kind of cleaned up our show notes. And I like it.
Yeah,
it's a great resource, and they've done a great job over there.
Yeah, you can roll the dice from the character sheet, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I think I got to have dice in my meaty mitts. I don't get that enough.
That's fine.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a visceral pleasure of rolling the actual physical dice, too.
There is that.
Yep. But I get teased because I take too long to interpret my dice, so I just use the dice roller.
Yep. Yeah, this is good stuff.
Well, if we didn't, if we had the rights to the Jeopardy theme, we wouldn't tease you. We'd just play that every time you were trying to interpret your dice.
One of these days.
As we say in French, on est car ce qu'on aime. So.
Oh, I love you too.
Yep. So yeah. So Jores and Dallas and any others who are working on RPG sessions, thank you. And here are your 50 pieces of awesome.
All right. Well, welcome to the Books of Genesis. Where we break down section 1 of the books, and as we said, we are going to be looking at the Age of Myth from the Expanded Player's Guide. So open up your book to page 7, everyone, and we're going to start talking about Age of Myth. So go ahead, Tony.
So, Age of Myth. What makes a mythic story?
I mean, you're like larger than life. You are. Not only are you big damn heroes, people tell you that you're a big damn hero. You know you are, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's more than your high fantasy. A bit, you know.
Yeah, you're the scion of sometimes of the gods. You know, you've got great bloodlines. You have great heroes.
Yeah. You're like the epitome of strength, or trickery, or
beauty, or charm.
Yeah.
I think for me, Age of Myth, and this is explained here also in the beginning chapter, but Age of Myth for me is always about gods manipulating people. And they're doing so usually with heroes, whether they're tragic heroes or larger than life heroes. The gods are meddling in their shit.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
And it's slightly different from our traditional high fantasy in that magic is more aloof, so to speak. It's
and feared.
more
feared.
feared. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, it seems to be only God-given, it seems, practically.
Oh, yeah.
But also on the other side of that, it's ultra powerful when it comes to magic items.
Yes. Because those are gifts from the gods. So they kind of have to be, right? Yeah.
Well, that's it.
So, I mean, that's what it means to play in the Age of Myth, but there's some tropes that are involved, and we've kind of already invoked a couple of them. But let's break them down, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we're talking tropes, I mean, you have various different myths, like types. You have Polynesian, the Norse myths, the Greek myths, and those are different from each other. As they have an example here from like The Expanse to Star Wars, how that's kind of different, right? I mean, it's all sci-fi, but it's so different.
Yeah.
This is all myths, but they are different, and we'll get into some of those too. And when we're talking tropes, there are a few, and they have some, like the first one. There are gods are among us. They show up. Come around a corner. One of the examples here is
That's the really big one, yeah.
yeah, it is that they are here in any of the pantheon of the gods. That the gods are here among us. And they do talk a couple of different of the pantheons. One thing that I liked about the Norse gods one is they say that Zeus will just or Odin will just kind of come up as like an old man wanting a place to stay.
Yep.
And if you don't let him in
up.
and let him stay, fuck, he's going to wreck you. He's going to wreck your goddamn countryside, right? I mean,
that's kind of, that would be that would be like one thing that represents the law or the rule of hospitality is very important in some cultures.
Exactly.
That's to reinforce it, because you never know who you're inviting into your house.
That's right.
And then one thing they mention here, and I want to mention it on our show, is that it's not they don't bring the examples in the book to say, hey, these are the only good examples. These are just some examples. There's tons that exist. These are ones that have crept into the world's knowledge, and that's the Norse and the Greek and a few others. But there are a plethora of pantheons and myths out there for every culture that can be tapped into as a resource for this.
Well, that's it. The Greeks are very popular, I guess, because of Hollywood. But you can have South American with Quetzalcoatl and Tlaloc, Native Americans. They're the various gods like the coyote and raven, which are like either trickster gods or spirits, whatever the name is called. Even they don't call them gods. They're like very powerful beings that kind of meddle with the mortals to either protect them, sometimes fuck around with them a little bit, cause them grief. As maybe one hero is encouraged by one god, but then opposed by another one. Hercules is a great example. I mean, Zeus was always behind, of course, Hercules, but his wife, Hera, didn't like, of course, Hercules because he was the son of another woman, a mortal woman. It's like, no, I'm going to oppose him.
And that's a big aspect of the Greco-Roman gods, is that they're capricious and they're always fickle about that. They will actively. There are some, even like Aphrodite, who will get pissed off because of mortal woman who is as beautiful as her. The people, if anyone says she's as beautiful as Aphrodite takes notice.
Or more.
And she messes with that woman's life. That woman ends up with snakes coming out of her head.
Yeah,
Yes, she does.
Or a man that sees Artemis bathing with her hunting party and then just petrifies him. Or just turns him to a stag and hunts him to death.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
How dare you?
Yeah, yes. and they bring up. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no. The Greeks also believe, they said, in like lesser deities and spirits.
Oh yes, spirits and managers.
Well, yeah, not only just the major gods like from Mount Olympus, but the nymphs, which were your elementals, representing your various elementals, and the dryads are the living embodiments of trees and natures, and then of course you have the Furies, the three goddesses of vengeance and retribution, which is always a great theme, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and they bring up the Sumerian gods here, and I wanted to, they are brought in as kind of a contrast that the Sumerian gods, they're all birthed from earth, water, and the heavens, and they separated the world so that they could claim their domains, and the god Enki, I think it's Enkel was the original version of it that I remember first hearing.
Right.
Created humans to carry out all menial tasks so that the gods could live lives of luxury.
Nice.
So that's
wow.
and that's basically when you're talking Sumerian society had heavily had slaves, and so this was the gods had humans as slaves, humans had slaves, so it was kind of a reflection of their society.
And one thing that's interesting is this thing called the Malam, which is their it's like a luminous aura that kind of surrounds them, which basically, if anybody gazes upon them, they're just in fear and terrified and such. It's kind of interesting.
Was it actually named the aura? That. Because when you see a god, you should be really impressed, at the very least.
And they would even bestow, it says here, the last line here, that second paragraph, they would bestow a measure of Malam on those mortals they favored. So those would be your big damn heroes.
Or blessing. Your blessings, that's it.
So instead of receiving, if you were, using Sumerian gods, instead of them giving the player characters magic items by giving them their Malam, they bestowed them with their essence, and they can. So you would give your characters magic powers, so to speak,
Correct.
or boosts,
or talents. Talents for free, for example.
Yep.
And they'd only last for as long as they were in that god's favor, obviously.
Of course, that's it.
This last paragraph there is kind of bleak too.
Go ahead, read it, Chris. I love it.
Well, it says that obviously, like all gods, and I don't know if this is necessarily specific to Sumerian mythology, but they're to be not to be defied or challenged. Duh. But then there's the fatalistic element to their mythology that in the end, no matter what one's deeds were in life, all mortals end up in the same bleak underworld.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. In some ways, the Norse mythology is kind of bleak too, because they do have Ragnarok. All the people know that this will happen, and the gods, or even the gods, are going to die. Many of them are going to die.
Right.
So there's something, but at least if you do well, if you die a warrior's death, you go to Valhalla until then.
Well, exactly. And that's one of the things over there when they're talking about the Norse legends is, those gods respect that strength and bravery. Yeah. And even if you are going to be fighting a god, don't run, stand up, give it the best fight you can. You're going to be smoted anyways, but at least they'll respect you.
If you're going to lose, well, that's it. Even if you lose, you went down fighting. He's like, well, I didn't bow down. The hell with you. I want my beer in Valhalla.
There we go. All right. So what's our next trope there, fellas?
Next trope is about being the idyllic hero, the heroic ideal that you represent the epitome, let's say, of a certain aspect of whatever the culture is. So as they say, you're the mold. You're not just a traditional hero. You're simply really more than just a hero. They are stronger. They are more attractive. They're marked for great deeds, not just the farmer who picks up pitchfork and fights against kobolds and then becomes a hero. No, he's already starting. Like Hercules, he's born. 2 snakes show up in his crib. He strangles them.
Nice.
Yep. And so they're the heroes of, they talk about the different myths again here, and you've got your heroes of the Greek, like you said, they are larger than life. You've got, Perseus, who's, his sense of honor was like none other, Achilles, who was the ultimate warrior, he could not be beat except for that one little weakness.
Yep.
And that's the part that also all Greek heroes have, is they have that downfall.
Mm-hmm.
They have that thing that's going to bring them down, and it always does, and that's why it's called a Greek tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one bit of, whether it's hubris or wrath or a weakness of some kind, it's always going to drag them down.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yep. Yeah. There was one. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that with these heroes, they're worried about whatever quest they're on. They want to defy their fates. They're not worried about getting their next meal. They don't have to keep track of arrows. I'm reading this. I'm reading this last paragraph here. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. They're not worried about amassing wealth or anything like that. When you're running a game with these kinds of heroes, just focus on the epicness of it and the heroic deeds that they're going to be doing, claiming artifacts of legend or whatever. Not worried about who's going to be taking first watch or second watch. How many rations do we have left? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's it. As corny as the TV show was, the Hercules TV show with Kevin Sorbo was like that. I mean, he didn't have to worry about his next meal or dry cleaning his clothing, or he would just travel and do his quests and worry about that later. Everything would fall into place anyway. He and his sidekick, but they would do the big epic fights.
Yeah, and then we get into the Arabian heroes. Now, Arabian heroes, the mythic heroes of Arabian stories, they tend to be less overtly powerful or strong, and instead they're more cunning and witty. When you're thinking of Scheherazade or Sinbad or Aladdin, all the heroes of Arabian myth are all quick and cunning and always are fighting against someone who's really powerful.
Against the odds, but they still prevail through some quick thinking, some agile acrobatics, and
it's almost always solve their problems with quick thinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What's our last one? Our last, is it our last trope?
There's a couple more,
What's our next
last one that they've bullet-pointed specifics for.
All right. So,
and that's going to be the fates, and that is fate is always a powerful force in mythic stories, and it goes hand in hand with being a hero and being, whether you're a child of the gods or a pawn of the gods, you have an epic fate.
Yeah.
In Norse beliefs, they go into where that fate was, what that source was, and that's the Norns that lived under the world tree, Yggdrasil.
Yep.
And they are the ones that predicted Ragnarok and so on and so forth.
They wove the fate of mortals.
Yeah, and it brings me to, okay, I know I did my research all week. I know you did, Chris. We watched a bunch of mythic movies.
Yeah, we did.
I watched, last night I watched 300, and the whole going to see the old wise guys up on the frickin' hill.
The Oracle.
And the Oracle, fate was important. Getting, word of the gods came from somewhere.
Yeah,
and
Well, even in the movie, I watched Troy the other night.
Yeah.
And before he's going to the Trojan War, he talks to his mother, and she's like, "Well, you could stay here, live a long life, have some kids, gonna be great. Nobody's gonna remember you. But if you do go, you will be remembered forever. However, you will not be coming back because you will die there." And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go. Fuck it." Boom! You know, I mean, come on, that's not fate, and that's your mother telling you. Bummer, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So fate plays a big part, and I love the part that they finally mentioned the Egyptian stuff, because that's that's one of my favorites.
Okay.
The Egyptian myth cycles. So Egyptian mythology and fate and history they have cyclical elements. And what that means is what has happened before will happen again. We don't learn the lessons from the past. They just continue to happen. Everything continues to happen.
Yep.
And what has happened before will come again. Mm-hmm. And your heroes, it's how they rise to that challenge in that moment that drives them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that. I like this last sentence of that first paragraph there. The Egyptians believed that to keep the chaos of the desert from coming to overwhelming the order of the living, life-giving river valley, the world must reenact the same mythic patterns of history. Just continue to do that. Oh, another sandstorm's coming. As is, the whole, the myths. We have to reenact those. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why their pantheon of gods over time changed, but the stories didn't. So you notice there's, if you really study Egyptian mythology, there's very old Egyptian gods and there's young Egyptian gods, and some of them have the same powers, but the same stories are being told from beginning to end about different ones because they believed in that cycle of myth. But a new king would come along and say, no, not that god. We don't worship him anymore. We worship this new god. And and because of that pharaoh, the edict went out that God's name had changed.
Yeah. But it's still the same god. It's just, just using another alias.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of some of the heroes sometimes of the British Isles. There's one book I had read about, I think it was Cuchulainn, one of the great heroes. His fate sometimes was like almost determined at birth, that he had this fate that he would never be able to refuse a meal if offered, or never able to also to refuse an invitation from someone. So sometimes that and some of these conflict in each other and sometimes bring about their downfall. So you have to be careful.
Yep.
They could be still powerful heroes, or an anime series that I watched when I was younger called Ulysses 31, which was a take on, of course, Odysseus. So he has a ship in space. The Greek gods are very powerful and still around, but he pisses them off. And while he's away from the ship with his son and a friend of his son, he curses the crew in the ship to be in suspended animation and to travel the galaxy. And he goes through sometimes various Greek myths and stories with a twist. Some other guy is fated to push a boulder, instead of a boulder, a piece of metal, a boulder of metal, down into an anthill kind of thing, instead of up a hill that always rolls down.
Yep.
So that was like another take. Yes, it's an age of myth, but with a sci-fi theme.
Cool. Yeah, another thing that they had mentioned up here back about the fates. Just one thing I wanted to touch on was that though it could be like you're fated to do something, well, there could be multiple ways that it could be interpreted. Okay, and the example that they give here was the prophecy the Oracle of Apollo at Delphi gave to King Croesus before his battle against the Persian Empire. Should he attack the Persians, he would destroy a great empire. Well, he lost, and his empire was destroyed, his own. So you might think, if you do this, you're going to destroy that empire. But no, he destroyed his own. So you could, and of course a good DM would do that, right?
Right.
Nice,
Always
vague enough.
Prophecy's vague.
Oh, you got to. Keep them vague. Keep them vague. Alrighty then. This next trope puts a... You have to think of high fantasy different of this trope because of this trope here. And this is, here there be monsters. So in a lot of these... the Age of Myth, you have a lot of different creatures, wolves and whatever, all these different creatures and humans. But as far as monsters go, you wouldn't have like a whole, tribe of goblins or tribe of orcs. You'd probably have one orc. Or you wouldn't have a bunch of minotaurs. You would have a minotaur or a gorgon. Something along those lines. One Hydra.
Yeah, like Medusa. Like Medusa was one creature. She was a woman named Medusa who was cursed. Not a race of creatures called Medusa. She was part of a creature. 3 sisters were called Gorgons. And she was the only one that was mortal.
Right.
So of course D&D stole or borrowed a lot of information there.
Right. So keep your fantasy in your fantasy. Keep your Age of Myth here, where make your monsters unique.
Well, it's that if your heroes are big and powerful and up in your face, so are the monsters. They need to be. When Hercules fought the Hydra, it was the Hydra. Every time he cut off a head, 2 more sprung up. So.
Right on.
Anything to add?
Lastly, no. That's I've got plenty to add on monsters later.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
You have something. I see something. You have something in the background there on the slab, don't you? Kind of getting prepped, right?
Maybe.
We have to go up to the lab first. So.
But so the last trope is, of course, magic. Magic in a mythic setting. We're back to that. It plays a major role. However, it's more behind the scenes. It's not. There's not 70,000 wizards out there or a college of wizards. There might be a sorcerer born with magic. It's not something you learn. It's something you're born with.
Yeah.
Gift.
There may be one sorcerer born a generation, or you may have to seek out a shaman that is a mythical person. Sometimes a quest in and of itself to find a magical person for your big heroes. And so the magic is significant, but it's rare. It's behind the scenes.
Yeah, right.
And again, we talked about also that it's also through the magic items or those auras that they can bestow upon, that the gods would bestow upon mortals. Those are the ways with magic touches the setting more than anything else.
Right. And remember to keep it frightening and, fearful.
Oh, yeah.
People. They're it's feared. When magic happens, the gods are present and we should fear the gods. If we don't fear the gods, they're going to destroy us, you keep that theme going and that feeling around the table going. It'll make your game more exciting, I think.
Well, that's it. When the hero is given a magic item, whether it's the powerful shield that's supposed to protect him against the Medusa, or the bow that never misses. It's not just a +1 bow. No, it's Zeus enchanted this, or gave it to you. So the belt of Hercules was supposed to be really powerful. Of course, it's Hercules.
Hercules. You mentioned him enough. I have to do it now.
That's right. You do. You do.
Oh, he's one of the biggest heroes out there. I mean, right. Lou Ferrigno played him.
One of the strongest.
One of the strongest. Well, speaking of heroes, dude, what kind of options do we have to play these peeps? To play a big game hero? What do we have?
Yes, we have new archetypes for that.
We have 3 of them. What do you guys have?
You don't be just a
would you guys wanna
laborer
take?
or intellectual.
No.
Homie,
I'll
take
start.
the first one because
I will
you
take-
were you
I was
downplayed this one when
I was
we first opened the expanded players guide. You kind of dissed on this a little bit.
I did, but for our segment coming up here in the future of the little later on in the show, I made a demigod. All right, now a
there you go.
demigod is a character that has been born, the union between a mortal and a god, or maybe a child of the gods that was stolen at birth, but their divine majesty has been reduced in some way or some reason. Their abilities, brawn and agility are a 3. Their intellect, willpower, and presence are both 2, but they have no cunning. Because, they're not a trickster. Why do they need to be cunning? Who cares? They're very
straightforward.
They're straightforward,
they're
They're
just pounded into submission.
That's right. They have a wound threshold starting out at 12, which you get to add their brawn to. Their strain threshold is 8, which you add your willpower to. They start with 85 hit points. Now, that is an interesting number to me because of the fact that I raised a brawn attribute to 4. I raised another attribute to a 3. But man, I was 5 experience points short from pulling that cunning up to a 2. So I had to make a decision whether I wanted to keep the cunning as 1 or create another, or put both my brawn and agility to a 4, right? And then boom, you're done. Interesting choices I had to make, which I kind of retract a bit, I think. So they obviously, they'll start with athletics during character creation because, they're a demigod. And then this is awesome. Tragic fate. When preparing the story pool, you basically give your story point to the GM.
Yep.
No. You get to keep yours.
Oh, I get to keep it. Oh, no. The GM adds one story point. Oh, I read that weird. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So,
No. It says, I'm sorry, instead of the player pool. My bad.
Yeah. So I'm giving my story point to the GM. That's effectively
so the GM
what
starts
you're
with
doing.
2 story points.
No,
Very nice.
They just start with yours because it's a tragic fate, buddy. That's how they do it.
That's it.
That's great. I love it.
It's got a lot of flavor to it. Now, it's
does.
not a cool ability, It's like,
No,
it's
but-
not really cool,
We're
but
gonna start the game session. Here you go. Here's my story point. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
and likewise, if someone's playing a demigod in the game,
Oh my god.
they now are the reason why they're playing the demigod is because they want to interact with their gods.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want to feed them that. Here's the guy who's going to talk to Zeus. Nobody else in the party is going to talk to Zeus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Zeus is going to show up once in a while and say, you need to do this. No, I don't want to do this, Dad.
That's right.
All right.
You're
Yeah,
not my
cool.
real dad.
So-
Actually, I am your real dad.
So that was the demigod.
Then
Then we have that born mysterious character, the sorcerer. In mythology, a person is born a magic user. It's not something you learn. We talked about that. This archetype plays into that concept and should only be used if the game is using the alternate magic rules. So if you're not using the magic rules, throw the archetype out. Maybe you want worldly heroes for that, that Sumerian gods game. Who knows? But the sorcerer here is less than average when it comes to the old brawn. He's got a 1 because he's probably grew up sick and maybe
Bookish.
got his ass kicked for having magical powers.
That's right.
But he's got 2s across the board and everything else. He's got a 9+ brawn for his wound threshold. Again, wimpy. 11 plus his willpower for the strain threshold, and then 115 starting XP.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a That is a truck bucket load.
It sure is.
And then, for starting skills, Sorcerer starts a game with Arcana, Divine, or Primal as a career skill. The Sorcerers also start with a single rank in the magic skill that they selected as their career skill. And of course, this does not allow you to train it above 2. Mm-hmm. And so, right away, you're a magical powerhouse. You got extra XP to spend. You can crank that right through the roof. But then they got this nasty ability here, Supernatural Suspicion.
This is flavorful as hell.
Again, and I'm getting a theme. Tragic demigod. Well, untrusted sorcerer. So the Supernatural Suspicion, once per session, after this character makes a magic skill check, you may spend a story point to re-roll one or more of your dice in the pool. So that's pretty powerful, being able to re-roll. Oh, I don't want that despair. Re-roll it.
Oh, yep.
Exactly.
Oh, what? I got a blank yellow die? Well, it could come up a triumph.
Right, I got a blank yellow die and a despair. Let me roll them both.
Exactly.
You may re-roll one or more dice of your choice.
Yep.
After doing so, all NPCs in the current encounter gain an aversion of this character. Something about you bothers them, and the supernatural nature of that character as a fear. They pick up a new motivation. They're frickin' afraid of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your power.
Because you just firebolted my buddy.
Yeah, and changed fate. You basically changed the fate of whatever, the dice decided.
Exactly.
Yes,
you manipulated fate, and they saw it. They see it in you, and they are afraid of you. Everyone in the whole encounter. Very awesome ability.
Yeah, that's great.
And the next one is one that I base my character off for the Advantageous Threat. So without powers starting off at birth, he's not super strong or super agile like the demigod. He doesn't have magical powers, but they are clever. They use their cunning. So they have 2 in brawn, agility, intellect, and presence. Only 1 in willpower. But 3 in cunning. So yeah, they're the crafty ones. Middle of the road, as opposed to the other 2, 10 plus brawn for wounds, and strain 10 plus willpower. 100 XP. So a little bit like the standard human, average human. Starting skills, of course, being a trickster, they'll have a rank. A rank in either deception, knowledge, skullduggery, or streetwise, maximum of 2 ranks. And the other ability that they have is quite nice, I like. Too clever by half.
Great name.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's nice because it involves boost dice, which I love.
When I read this earlier today, Stefan, I thought of you going, yeah, Stefan's going to like this. Go ahead and read that, buddy. This is great.
That's it. So once per session, before your character makes a skill check with boost dice in the dice pool. So if you already have boost dice.
What in dice pool?
Boost dice.
There you go.
So once per session, if there's already boost dice in the dice pool, you can spend a story point and double the number of boost dice in the dice pool. Oh, you gave me 2 boost dice. All right, 4.
However,
if. So if you succeed, awesome. You'll get all the goodness. But if you fail, then your character goes, oh no, I failed, and suffers 6 strain because of it.
And you have to completely lean back in your chair and throw your hand up like Stefan just did.
Exactly.
You've been handed the fickle finger of fate.
And you have to go, no,
what have I done to anger the gods?
That's exactly what you got to ask yourself. What did I do to anger the gods?
Well, you didn't sacrifice that 3rd chicken when I wanted. Come on. With the special sauce.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Yeah, now that's the trickster, all right. That is a great, I love that one. That one's got a great flavor to it.
I would
personally
see Azzmodeus as being, a trickster. as opposed to Hercules, of course, being a demigod.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
even Sinbad would be a good trickster. Have you seen the animated? I think it was a Disney. I don't know if it's Disney or someone else, DreamWorks, of Sinbad. It was awesome. Definitely.
A long time ago, I think. Long time ago.
Yeah. I rewatched it a little while ago, but yeah.
Well, to go hand in hand with these archetypes, you gotta gear them up because it's really. I don't think being a demigod makes you a demigod. It's the weapons, the equipment you have, which really gives you that mythic flavor, right?
Well, yeah, and we're not talking just the backpack with the iron pitons and the rations and the water skins.
You don't need that shit. You don't need that shit.
No.
You just need...
No.
Yeah,
That's what you got that dumb trickster there to carry for you.
Right.
No, that's a sidekick. Who carries that?
All these people who are like, "Oh, you're a demigod. Can I travel with you?" Yeah, carry my fucking food. Go.
That's it.
Go
Here's the range of the mule
for dinner.
Yeah. My mule is over there, okay?
Right.
Bring him over.
That's right. So, gear.
Yeah.
These are great.
So all of these things are ultra powerful and good and fun, but we've got favorites.
These are, of course, great examples to start with.
We do have favorites.
So let's pick a favorite weapon,
Okay.
and we'll start with you, Chris. What you got, Holmes?
I must say, I'm loving the Ruyi Jingu Bang, the Chinese thing wielded by the Monkey King. Shapeshifter trickster, buddy. Stole the immortality from the inhabitants of the heavens. Basically what this is a big-ass measuring stick that measured the primordial sea, and you can hit somebody from extreme range with it.
Oh, yeah.
Done. I mean, fuck. And the thing is, what's really cool is that it's got defensive 2, deflection 2, knockdown. All right, he's at extreme range. Bink! Gonna knock him down. All right. Coming in his long range. Bink! Knock you down. It's pretty interesting. You've got, it's melee heavy, plus 6 damage. And if it's a demigod, right? You're gonna probably be doing at least 10 damage to start with, right? And the range is special because, from any range, the crit rating is 4. No encumbrance on it though, which is interesting as fuck. When you read the special stuff below it, rarity 10, obviously. All these are priceless and almost rarity 10, all of them. Knockdown reinforced, meaning it can't be destroyed, and superior. So you're going to be getting that one extra advantage to knock people down as they're coming up next to you. So, so basically you make a combat check with somebody within extreme range, increasing the difficulty once for every range band beyond short. And then, as an action, get this, you can set it in place, set its size to any silhouette from 0 to 6. Yes, 0 to 6. And if we put that in perspective, a silhouette 6 would be a size of what? I don't have the table up. But that'd be like a Star Destroyer.
Big.
Like a Star Destroyer or whatever? Yeah, pretty much.
SDF-1.
SDF-1, yeah. And then the encumbrance of any value. And now this is encumbrance. This isn't weight. Encumbrance from 1 to 1,000. Okay. Great.
Okay, it's a little
My
heavy.
favorite. It's a little heavy. It can be a little heavy. But anyways, that's kind of my favorite. These are all great, but
Nice.
it's pretty awesome. What do you got, Tony?
How about you, Stefan?
Or how about you, Stefan?
Oh, well, since I was a very, very young man, a very young boy, growing up on comic books, I always loved Thor. So I love my big, blonde, burly men.
Of course he did.
So my favorite, of course, Mjolnir is my favorite one.
Cool.
I mean, yeah. Big, honking hammer. Handle's too short, unfortunately, because of damn Loki. But that's okay. I've got powerful gauntlets that I can still wield it. throw it around, it comes back to me. So, so Mjolnir, of course, the legendary hammer of the gods, the god of Thor, god of thunder, has concussive 2, cumbersome 6. So yeah, you have to be really strong to lift it. Reinforced, also indestructible and superior, and of course can be thrown. So in addition to being thrown, it has guided 3, limited ammo 1, but it's coming back, so who cares?
Very nice.
Guided 3? Oh, that's great. Well,
yeah.
I mean, the damage on it is +8.
Well,
so
that's it. It's Mjolnir.
I know it is. It's great.
It was made to fight giants.
But the thing is, you get to increase your damage dealt by +2 per success.
Well, that's it. So that's a special ability. +2 per success instead of just 1 per success.
Yeah.
So 8,
Ouch.
and you get only 1 success? +2. And when your character makes a ranged combat check with him, you can spend 2 advantage or triumph to have it return, of course.
Of course. Nice.
There. Back.
All right, Tony. How about
you, Tony?
Well, I mean, Mjolnir would have been my favorite too, but for a secondary, I gotta say the Bow of Apollo is bad ass. So,
oh yeah, it is.
Apollo's bow was said to be so accurate the god could not miss. In addition, the merest graze from an arrow could bring on a terrible plague. That cool line. How does that come out in mechanics? Well, first of all, you've got yourself. This is a ranged weapon, and of course, it's just ranged. It's not ranged heavy, ranged light. Damage 10. Oof.
As much as Mjolnir.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like a thrown hammer, except for it don't go out to medium range. It goes out to extreme range.
Well, yeah, it's a bow.
Only has a crit of 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's reinforced, of course, because it can't be broken. As with all of these, they can't be destroyed. So they're all reinforced, pretty much. Unwieldy 3. You got to have that high agility to wield it.
Right.
But the flavored text here, I love this. Or so before your character makes a combat check using the Bow of Apollo, remove all setback dice from the pool.
That's great.
And when a character suffers a critical injury from the Bow of Apollo, your character must choose. Okay? That's why the crit's so low, because you have to choose this crit. You must choose to inflict the debilitating illness critical injury if the target is not already suffering from that injury. So the very first one you have to take is debilitating illness, which is a hard severity 3 critical, and the target's wound threshold and strain thresholds are halved until this crit is healed.
Wow. That's nuts.
That's not damage.
No,
that's
it's just
halved.
Exactly.
Well, that's it. So your hero that had maybe like 25 wound threshold now has 13.
Right.
Or round up.
Or maybe that that Minotaur or that dragon that hasn't been seen ever, like Chinese dragon, kind of comes on over to the Greek area and whatever. It's got like 60 wounds, right? No, it's got 30.
Yeah.
Right?
Till it's healed.
Till it's healed. But wow. Yeah, those are epic.
Nasty.
And these are definite. So these are items that you go on these epic quests to find.
Yeah.
I mean, you could potentially start if you're doing a one shot. Build your character. I was thinking about this earlier today. Is if you're going to be running a serious campaign in an Age of Myth, when you're creating these characters, they're going to be larger than life, obviously, right? But work with your GM on what do you see this character going after, right? Like, what item are they going to be going after? And if it doesn't exist, create one. You know?
Yeah.
Why not? It's big damn hero shit.
Greek hero, the Greek pantheon has Hephaestus. He can create all kinds of magic artifacts.
That's right. When he's not talking to himself, which by the way, that was great.
Oh.
Bill Knightley and
Bill Nye. Yeah.
Bill Nye, and what is it in the Wrath of the Titans?
Wrath of the Titans.
Wrath of the Titans. Yeah.
All right. Well, those are the weapons.
Yeah. Now there's only 3 pieces of armor, but they gave us 3 really good examples.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this first one, Aegis, is the armor of the gods, skin of the golden scales worn off one shoulder, the head of the Gorgon attached to the front on the other. Now, granted, the severed head doesn't turn people to stone anymore, but it still unleashes fear in your enemies. So when you're wearing this, allies get one success to all discipline and leadership checks they make. And then enemies have to make a daunting discipline check, fear check. If they fail, they're immobilized until the end of the round. Plus an additional round per threat.
Yeah.
And then if they succeed, they don't have to make the check again. But still, that's nasty.
And if they succeed, they don't have to make the check again. If they fail, they can't move. That means they still have to make the check.
That's right.
In the future.
That's right. They still do. And, this gives you a soak of 3. Wow.
Oof.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Encumbrance of 3, which is, makes sense. And then it's reinforced, can't be destroyed. So.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can reskin this for your own setting. If it's more of an Egyptian thing, replace the Medusa head by the symbol of Set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
This is just at least guidelines. Mm-hmm. The green armor is really nice too, from the British kind of British Isles, King Arthurian legends. Of course, some people have heard of the Green Knight.
Right.
So it's a suit of heavy plate mail forged from some unidentifiable deep green metal. Some places I read would maybe like Fey metal, whatever it is. The armor makes the wearer effectively immortal and invulnerable. Even if he loses their head or limbs, they can pick it up and reattach it.
It's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. And while we're wearing the green armor, critical injuries cannot be inflicted upon your character. You have the bow of Apollo? I've got the green armor.
Right, and that's because of the next sentence. Right, that's because of the next sentence.
Yeah. So in addition, whenever your character suffers wounds, they suffer strain instead.
Yeah, you have to wound somebody to crit them. So they're only taking strain. You're not critting them. So
that's it. And if your strain exceeds the strain threshold, then they're not incapacitated. However, they must concede victory to the enemy and leave the encounter as quickly as possible. All right, you've won. Bye.
That's great. I love it.
That's so knightly.
Isn't it, though?
Yep.
Well, you bested
me, sir. I concede the battle to you.
That's right. Continue on to that village and destroy them. I don't care.
It.
You've bested me.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the fact that it's got defense of 1 and soak of 4.
Yeah.
2.
Oof. That's it.
All right. So last we have the Yarngraper, which are the dwarves that forged these iron gauntlets for Thor, so that he would have the strength to wield his hammer one-handed. Apparently, Thor was not born that strong. He had to have special gauntlets made. Even by themselves, the gauntlets can make the wearer into a fearsome weapon, greatly increasing the individual's arm and grip strength, as well as protecting the hands and forearms from harm. So while wearing Yarngraper, your character increases their brawn by 2 to a maximum of 6.
Wow, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which means you have to buy another set of dice, I think.
And they provide no soak, but they provide a defense that's ranged and melee of 3.
Wow.
But don't.
That's pretty good. I mean, though there's no soak on it, if you don't get hit, there's no reason to get soaked. You don't really need to apply soak, right?
Exactly. So they're like the bracers of Wonder Woman. Ting, 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 ting.
Right.
Nice. Alrighty then. That's one way of looking at it.
Now, there's also several little pieces of gear here. It's all neatly flavored and unique. Yeah. And I don't think we need to read it. Is there anything you guys liked that you wanted to mention?
The only thing was the bag of wind. How it was by Odysseus, right? But he lost it because his crew thought there was gold in it.
It was gold in it, yeah.
Which is
greedy buggers.
Such a freaking Greek tragedy there, man. I lost my bag of wind. But
that's it. I lost my wind bag. Nope.
Right.
Well, so when we talk about the mythic setting, we talk about mythic heroes, we talk about mythic, the gods, but those gods have monsters that they've created. And
that obstacles that the heroes must overcome.
Exactly. Now we're given a few, and I spotlighted the Gorgon once before on episode 50 in On The Slab. So if you really want an in-depth view of the Gorgon and some ways to flavor it as another type of creature, go listen to that.
I have two interesting things to say about these. An observation I made of these 5 adversaries. How many do you think have the adversary talent?
I don't know. What, 2?
One of them. How many of these 5 adversaries are minions? None. How many
None
of these
of them.
5 adversaries? How many of these 5 adversaries are rivals? One.
Only one.
That should tell you something. You got 4 nemesis here, right? That you're fighting. That you guys are going to fight against.
That's it. Those are your big bad. So even the lowest ranked big bad is still a rival.
Exactly.
No minions in here.
Exactly. I saw that and I thought that was interesting.
No, in a heroic setting, if you're going to be facing minions of any kind, they're going to be foot soldiers of an army type thing, maybe an opposing army, or maybe they're bandits or something like that. You're not going to be talking about a bunch of goblins. You're not talking about a group of kobolds. You're not talking about a group of skeletons. Maybe you are.
Even if you're going up against the Minotaur, it is the Minotaur. THE cap all caps. So it's.
Well, speaking of him, let's go into it. Let's talk about the Minotaur here. Let's see.
Okay. Go ahead.
They're monstrous abomination, half man, half bull. Right? Lived in the labyrinth on Crete, slain by Theseus. Got a brawn of 5. Not surprising there. A cunning and agility of 3. Intellect of 2. A willpower and presence of 1. Soak of 8. Wow. You're going to have to hit this thing pretty hard to do something to it. A wound threshold of 18. Granted, a nemesis still. And a strain threshold of 9. No melee or range defense. Athletics, brawn, coercion, melee heavy, and perception for skills. They have the bull rush ability, which means...
No way.
Of course, it's in the name, right? Yeah. Bull rush. Spend an advantage or a triumph to knock your target prone or move them up to a 1 range band away. They have a gore ability. After making a successful check using its vicious axe, they could spend 2 advantage or a triumph to inflict 1 hit with its bloody horns. Dealing a base damage of 1 per... what do you call it? Base damage plus 1 damage per success. So it'd be like 6, I think.
Yep.
That's awesome. So they just inflict a hit. You don't, roll to hit. They just will inflict that damage.
Yep.
Right.
It's basically like dual wielding.
Yeah. Yep. And then their bloody horns, if you just want to attack with the horns, it's a brawl check. Damage 6, crit 3, concussive 1, and knockdown. And then the vicious axe. Oh, I know, that's crazy. And then the vicious axe, is a melee heavy, obviously. Damage 9, crit 3, and vicious 3. Oh, ouch!
Yeah, it's going to slice.
Wouldn't expect anything less from the Minotaur.
Oh, that's nasty.
It is pretty nasty.
Yeah. Me personally, I like the Siren.
The rival, by the way.
Yes, the only rival in the group, but the only one that you're more likely to have a social encounter with. Well, not the only one, but anyhow. So, yeah, you've got this brawn, agility, intellect, cunning, willpower 2. Average girl. No. These beings were known to be captivating women that perched on rocks and treacherous shores, singing with great supernatural skill to lure sailors to their deaths. Presence of 4. Oof.
Yeah, that's it. They're not combat monsters. They're just going to be really, captivating and charismatic.
They can be combat monsters, but they're not going to be doing the damage. They're going to be convincing you to do it to yourself.
That's it.
They got a brawl of 3, charm of 3, cool 1, deception 4. And then they got this really neat ability. No talents, by the way. The ability Siren's Song. They make an opposed charm versus discipline, targeting one character within long range. If successful, the target must spend all of its available maneuvers, including spending an action to gain a second maneuver or suffering strain, to move into engaged range. The target may not make combat checks, against this character, targeting this character, until after this character makes a combat check targeting them. And I would even suffice to say they will walk through harm to get to you.
Oh, yeah.
They will
as
walk
long as
off
the
of
siren...
cliffs. They will walk off the side of a ship. They will...
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. As long as the siren themselves don't attack, you're going to just move through whatever,
you will fight
hell or
your way to them.
hot water.
Absolutely. You'll fight off your buddies, too.
Well, when they do fight, they got some vicious claws.
Yeah, they do.
Brawl, damage 4, crit 2, range engaged, pierce 3, vicious 3.
Wow.
They got vicious claws.
Yeah, they do. Sharp, vicious claws.
I would even sometimes use despair if someone, or the triumph of the siren, or despair against the player if they roll. Even if the siren attacks, they just let themselves be attacked until the next round. You
takes
like
you a while to snap out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Full round
Never
later.
know.
Is there another one you wanted to mention, Stefan?
Well, we already mentioned that you reskinned and talked a lot about the Gorgon. Of course, there's the Jinn from Arabian Nights kind of legend. So the smokeless, the one being of smokeless fire, where, powerful muscular torso, but ephemeral below the waist. Shows about
space.
Exactly. Tapers off into a tiny little lamp. But still has awesome, phenomenal cosmic powers. So he's very powerful. 2 brawn, 3 agility, but 5 intellect and cunning.
Oof.
2 willpower, 3 presence. So nothing below a 2. Soak value of 2, but wound threshold 20 and strain 20, as well as 2 defense, melee and ranged. Some good skills: charm, coercion, deception, perception, all at 3, and then divine, which is their arcane ability, knowledge, range attack, and vigilance at 4.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
Adversary 2, because phenomenal cosmic powers.
Right.
Since they don't have legs, they fly everywhere. They're kind of ghostly. They can move over or through terrain, including doors and walls. Whatever. They have the damage of anything attacking them before applying soak. And unless the attack came from a magical source, such as a spell or legendary weapon, then they have their spirit. They don't need to eat, breathe, drink, etc. Almost like a construct.
Well, that's good because they've been trapped in a fucking lamp.
Well, that's right. It. There has to be some advantages to living in a tiny little lamp.
Smelling your own farts that much. Oof.
Better smell like roses. And spells, well, they can choose any magic action allowed for the divine spells, divine skill, and may select additional spell effects as normal. So, and the spell they often use is called the Eye of the Jinn. So he chooses one target at medium range, makes an average divine check, and if successful until the end of the character's turn, the target makes a check. This character may choose one type of die in the pool and re-rolls any of the die of that type. And then they can sustain that effect of the spell by performing simply a concentrate maneuver. So you roll a triumph? No. All your ability dice, or no, I'm changing those. I don't want you to get a triumph. And then as equipment, well, they've just got their almost like their innate range attack of lightning and flame. Range attack of damage 8. Ouch. Critical 3, medium range, auto fire, nice. Burn 4. And then you just throw in any kind of enchanted trinkets you want them to have. Something that increases their soak, not a problem. Something that throws sand in someone's eyes, reducing any boost eyes they might have, not a problem.
Oh, they can have pocket sand? Sweet.
Yes. They get stuff that removes boost dice from people who asked for them too much.
Right. Or those tricksters, so they can't double them.
That's it. And suffer 12 strain instead of 6.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last one we had was the Corrigan, which, it's just a more pumped up, nasty version of the Siren, really.
Yeah, kind of a will-o-wisp kind of thing.
So, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, honestly, when you think about it, setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially for doing like a one-shot. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, like for example, the Djinn, now that the expanded player's guide, they've got those challenge ratings, as combat, challenge rating of 9, social 6, and overall 9 again. So yeah, something that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I backed the Kickstarter for the Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, which is a 5e thing, which is basically an epic storyline of just this kind of a Greek Age of Myth type of campaign, and running something in Genesis for that would be pretty easy to do. This is cool. This is really cool. A lot of good nuggets in here.
Yep, sure. Definitely.
To make an Age of Meat. Age of Meat. You're going to be needing to figure
Myth.
That's right. Tell me, dude. Going to randomly roll the Age of Meat.
Keep making that same mistake.
Speaking of meat, pretty sure there's something warming on the slab.
Welcome to our next segment of On The Slab. In this segment, Tony chooses an adversary from one of the books, and we will dissect it bit by bit. What's on the slab today, Tony?
Wow, very nice, very nice. I wanted to discuss making creatures mythic for your Age of Myth. And there's a couple of key ways to do that. I've chosen one, and I've chosen a couple of abilities that are pretty mythic abilities that you can give. If you go to the adversaries section of the Expanded Player's Guide, and there's little bits that we're going to find, the creature itself is on page 88, the creature I chose, which is going to be the venomous snake. Various different myths have a giant serpent, a giant snake, a mythic hisser, so to speak.
Mythic hisser. Sweet.
What does that entail? Well, how do we make one? So we weren't given one in the adversary section, so I decided, you know what? I want to beef one up. So we start off with the venomous snake. It's a wimp. Sorry, but it is. It's a silhouette 0 critter. Venomous snakes hunt small game. Their poisonous bite is effective to deterring predators, but not really scary. With that.
If you're playing a low fantasy, just basic horror kind of thing, okay, some snakes. Oh, why did it have to be snakes? But
right.
If you're playing Hercules and Odysseus.
One venomous snake, it's nothing. Give me a room full of snakes. Now I'm Indiana Jones climbing the walls. Get me out of here.
Exactly.
All right. But
swarm.
These things, they didn't have a lot. They only had ones in brawn, intellect, willpower, presence, soak. They have some range defense because of their camouflage, natural camouflage, and that gives them 2 range defense. They got some decent skills: Brawl 2, Coercion 2, Perception 2, Survival 2. No talents. They have this neurotoxin. Now, the neurotoxin is if this creature inflicts a wound with a combat check, the target must make a hard resilience check, and upon failure, the target suffers 5 wounds. That's not soakable. They suffer 5 wounds.
Yeah.
And
nasty.
+1 strain per threat. Despair means the target must make another resilience check, same difficulty, or at the start of their next turn, suffer the same amount.
That's it. As the poison keeps going.
Pretty nasty.
Woof. Yeah. And they've got some nasty little fangs. Only do damage 2, crit 5, pierce 2.
Wow.
Nasty little fangs to deliver that punch.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we make it mythic? Well, if you go back to page 76, where they've got these little, I don't know what you'd call them. They're little categories, little boosts that you can give to some of your adversaries. And by choosing a couple of these, we can beef this puppy up. So first thing I'm going to do is I said I wanted it to be a giant serpent. So I'm going to go right to giant body. Right. That is going to instantly give it an additional 25 wounds. So now my critter's up to 29 wounds because it had 4.
Nice.
It's going to boost its power levels, yes. It's also going to be silhouette 3 or higher. So now it's a silhouette 3 snack.
From silhouette 2 to silhouette 3.
From silhouette 0.
Zero. That's right. 0
to 3.
From a little garter snake to a Buick.
Now, the other thing, because there's 3 ways that you're going to make this mythic. Number 1, make it big. Yep. If you know all of the Greek myths, all of the Norse myths, all of the big myths, the big monster. Or a big animal. Your dire animal stories, many of them come from mythology. Second thing you're going to do is, I'm making it big. I also wanted it to be a little tougher, I should say.
Yep.
And so I chose to give it tough skin. So at the very top of that column in table 211, or what is that? 11.2-2. Tough skin. It's going to increase its soak by 1, give it an additional 2 wound threshold, and that just beefs it up a little bit, letting it soak an extra amount here. So that gives it those tough scales, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so now your creature's wounds are up to 31, which is nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
With the soak of 5.
The last thing is, I liked the fact that it was camouflaged, but I wanted it to be also a little bit more defensive. So I went down and I gave it the close combatant also. And I increased its melee defense by 2.
Nice.
That's simple there. Now, that's not all the modifications I've done.
Mm-hmm.
The next step in making it mythic is to make it terrifying. You want it to be a scary looking monster. There's that moment in all of the mythic movies where the monster comes out and everybody stares in horror.
Yeah.
That's because they're all terrifying. So on page 80, you got the adversary special abilities, and the very bottom one, simple enough, terrifying. At the start of the encounter, all opponents must make a hard fear check as an out-of-turn incidental. Per the Genesys fear rules on the core rulebook of page 243. And if there are multiple sources of fear in the encounter, the opponents only have to make 1 fear check against the most terrifying. So now it's got this ability. Mm-hmm. That's, in and of itself, a big, nasty serpent. That could be pretty nasty. But there's one last element that makes it mythic, and that is it has to be unique. So this is where you, as a GM, tweak it just a little bit, add your own little flair to it. And I've tweaked its stats a little bit by increasing its brawn, because it's not the little tiny snack anymore. No. It's big snack. So I increased its brawn up to 4 from 1. I increased its agility a little bit, and I increased its cunning because this thing's been around a while.
So you kind of use your own eyeballed that, right? You didn't use the characteristics. You didn't really use the arrays on this other table, right?
No, I didn't go to any arrays. I used you can go do an array. If you want to completely rewrite their stats, go grab an array that you like and toss it in there. Mm-hmm. That is a way to do that. I just went, you know what? I want to tweak it for my own personal feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I thought, you know what? Those fangs are nice, but
you need it unique. And this makes it unique. This makes it unique, dude. What you added to this.
And so I thought, well, what makes instead of having a rattle on the end of its tail, it's got all these nasty spines on the end of its tail that it can just shoot at someone. Ouch. And those spines give it a ranged attack. Therefore, I had to give it some ranks in the range skill. So 2 ranks in the range skill. And then I wrote up the attack. The attack, it has to be comparable with a getting hit with a spear. That's these spines are the size of a spear.
Right.
So I picked the damage of a spear. I gave it a critical of 4 because you're not really going to want to crit with it.
No.
Damage is bad enough, yeah.
Goes out to medium range. I gave it, because it's a bunch of spines being fired at one area, I gave it auto fire.
That's cool, dude.
And then it takes a few minutes for the spines to grow back. Therefore, we gave it slow firing too, to give people hope.
Yeah. That they won't come back for a while. That's nice. So the slow firing, is that 2 rounds or is that 2 maneuvers?
That is 2 full rounds.
2 full rounds.
Yeah. So prepare is when it maneuvers.
So correct. So then round 1 it'll fire it. Round 2 and 3 they're regenerating, and then round 4 fire again, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Dude.
So giving them some giving them some hope until they just, no, we still haven't beaten it, and the spikes are coming up again. No.
I love this picture you put in this in the document too, man. And no spikes on the end of it. Oh,
one
go ahead.
last little thing I gave it, and that is that I wanted this to be for our advantageous threats in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, Chris, Stefan, it originally did not have this. But Chris and Stefan are talking about how much XP they're giving their characters over the last couple of days. They're like, well, I'm gonna make my character this XP. Well,
100. I started at 100, but fuck, you can't do anything. I wasn't here.
Okay, so nope, he's going up to 200. Nope, he's going to 250. But anyhow, so I went, all right, this thing's got adversary too.
Nice. All right, dude.
That's just how I leveled up my monster. You know what? I didn't have to make it more powerful. Just give it some ranks.
Adversary.
That's right.
Adversary can be pretty good, yeah.
If these guys had been
blanket
lower level,
ability.
If they've been lower level, lower XP, I probably wouldn't have given it adversary. So
that's great.
But it's a way to take a creature, modify it, put it on the slab, cut bits off, throw some more bits in, hammer it a few times with your godly hammer, and make it into a monstrosity.
That's right.
That's it. For example, like reminds me of Hercules again. He fought the Nemean lion. Take a normal lion and just beef it up. So strong that only a person like Hercules could defeat it.
Right. That's cool. Right. Well then.
Yep. It was very cool.
I have a feeling that we might be seeing this creature pretty soon.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it'll rear its ugly head soon.
All right,
let's get on its tail as well.
Let's get on to that then.
All right then.
Welcome to Advantageous Threats, where we build, roll, and narrate the die results on some sample skill checks for our entertainment and hopefully a couple of yours. I, Tony, will be GMing our heroic champions, Stefan and Chris, their characters.
Aww.
I will be GMing kind of a mythic theme here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's first meet the characters before I lay out the scenario.
Go ahead, Stefan.
All right. So I am playing the very tricksy, very cunning Amelia Barra. Trickster archetype. She was the daughter of a very famous warrior princess called Xena. Unfortunately, she was busy doing all her requests, so she left Amelia to be raised by some strangers.
Nice.
So she had to rely on her own cunning to survive, but she was still blessed with that noble bloodline. So she is a skilled archer and was able to come about the bow of Artemis, as well as the panoply of the Great Huntress.
Oh my!
Yes, so it's a combination of leather armor and cloak that helps her on her missions.
Cool.
What about you, Chris?
Well, I am playing Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles. He's a demigod.
Very nice.
He is. He's a demigod. He was an Englishman. No. So he's, so taking those 250 earned XP, I bumped his brawn up to a 5 and chose to leave his cunning at a 1, like I said, and bumped his willpower to a 3.
Nice.
Obviously took some more ranks in athletics. Melee light. He pictured him as being like the ultimate, melee guy, right? Because he's wielding Granddaddy's sword, the sword of Peleus, which we had. I don't think we didn't talk about that in the
We did not.
in the show. But it is defensive 2, reinforced sunder, and superior. And basically, this weapon allows him. This is right out of the book. There. Oh crap! I'm not on the right page. Basically, whenever he doesn't take wounds when he's wielding this sword. He'll take 2 strain instead. If he gets hit by an attack, he'll take 2 strain. Boom. Okay. Now he also has the shield of Achilles. And this is, I made this up. I basically took a regular shield and tried to make it quote-unquote mythic. So I gave it reinforced because, can't be broken, right? It does have the defensive and deflection qualities of a shield, 1 in each. Knockdown as well. Removed the inaccurate and gave it superior because it's a superior shield. It's a kind of an extension of the arm, right? And I did give it a crit value of 5 instead of 6. So like it could crit as easy as like a shield 1 larger. Feels a bit more like a hero's shield.
Nice.
So so Neoptolemus is the son of Achilles and the princess Diomede in the Greek mythology. So that's who I'm playing.
Nice.
All right. Well, gentlemen, heroes, gentlemen and ladies, sorry. Heroes, champions, King Hargaman has tasked you with procuring the venom of the great Phrygian viper. And in doing so, you, whatever reason, we got to come up with a good reason for 2 of you to have been brought onto this quest. You don't need one. You're heroes.
We are heroes.
And heroes hunt monsters. That's what they do. So,
right.
Our heroes, having previously quested to procure a vial of the infamous elixir called the Badger Honey from the High Alchemist of Narramathia, a elixir which will negate the venom of the Phrygian viper.
Ooh. So you've got to drink it. One of us has to drink it, or can we both?
But there's only one elixir.
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
And so you have traveled far into the mountains where you come to this misty veil.
Nice.
And supposedly this is the misty veil of the Phrygian viper.
Nice. Sword and shield are out.
That's it. So I said, yes. Amelia's been scouting. Yeah.
One at a
Amelia's
time.
been scouting the area ahead of Noob. That's why she's with the son of Achilles, because he doesn't know his way around the forest, but she does.
Nice. Yeah, I'm playing Neo, everybody.
Neo.
For sure.
So, you guys, there's this misty veil spread out before you.
Right.
Rock outcroppings coming up out of the mist almost look as if they're statues of snakes. Effigies to the great serpent rise in the mist, making it very difficult to determine where the creature is, or is it yet another stone statue. Well, they are made out of a strange, pale greenish rock that you've never seen before. Comes from the Far East, called jade.
But I think we may be getting close.
We might. You know, I tell you, you drink the elixir.
All right, if you insist.
I do.
Just be
the
wary.
hero that I am, I insist.
She nudges something on the ground that looks weird. It's like, see, the husk of of a skin of a snake. It may have shed its skin and become even bigger now.
Oh, good. All the better.
So we may be getting closer.
Hey, they will tell our stories forever.
All right. So she drinks the honey badger serum.
The badger honey. It's
badger honey, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, our two intrepid heroes
Yes.
enter the mist. And it isn't long before
Weapons
they
ready.
hear the slithering of scales on stone.
Ooh.
But it echoes all around you. Make a vigilance check to determine the location of the serpent. And we will use the creature's agility as the as difficulty here, because it doesn't have any ranks in stealth. Okay. So that's going to be 3 purple.
3 purple. Alrighty then.
Right. Well,
I have a net 2 successes.
All right. So you echolocate it, maybe using your shield.
Yes.
As
it resonates off the rocks around us, and I'm like, take aim. There's to the east, or to the right of our position. I hear it approaching.
Amelia, what did you have?
Unfortunately, Amelia might be still reeling from the after effect or the aftertaste of the badger honey.
Nice.
No successes, 4 threat.
Yes. So no successes, 4 threat. That is exactly it. She hears Neo speaking to her, but it sounds. His voice is slow and Charlie Brown's teacher off in the distance kind of sounding.
Nice.
And when suddenly from the mist rises a tail.
Yep.
Bristling with spikes.
Nice.
And everyone roll. I will be rolling cool for the serpent, and you will be rolling vigilance for initiative.
All right. 3 and 2. 3.2 for me.
No,
3.2.
0.2 for me.
3.2. 0.2. And I'll sit smack dab in the middle with 1.2. Ha ha ha.
Nice.
So.
Well, alrighty then. Well,
first player may react.
That'll be
me. I think it makes sense that it be Neo.
Yep, go ahead.
That's right. So I will move up to the thing. And I will be berserking because, you know what? It's what he does, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So this is going to be a big mitt full of dice.
Yes, it is.
I have 5 yellow. And I get to add a success and 3 advantage to this roll, because 1 for being superior, and then berserking, and then because I am berserking, you get a free success on me whenever you attack me. So
okay.
So I will close, and I believe that is a maneuver to do that. So I guess I'll have to take 2 strain.
All right. As you get close to its body, you see that the thickness of its body is almost as tall as you.
Nice.
You now see its head just below the tail, swirling in the mist as it's back and forth, as preparing to strike. Now, it is going to be melee difficulty, so 2 purple. Automatically.
Did you want me to make a sphere check first? The terrifying? Or
you know what? I'll have you both make that now.
Make that now?
Because it may affect this roll. Yeah.
I'll turn incidental, which is what you'll do. Okay, so then that's a hard fear check, so that's
correct. Hard discipline.
Did you take my my story point to start this encounter because of my tragic fate? That's what I thought.
I did. So currently the story point pool sits at 2 on the GM side and 1 on the player side.
That's right. Let's see. So I have, and this is discipline, right? Yeah. So 3 yellow.
Sir.
So 3 yellow versus 3 purple. And I am feared with 2 threat. So I failed it by 1. So I failed it. So I failed with 2 threat.
So you're gonna. We'll get into that. How did Amelia do?
Amelia did, unfortunately, not too good either. 2 failures and 1 threat.
All right. So the threat is going to be you're going to take 2 strain.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, Neo, you are going to add. So we're going to start with the difficult. I'm going to start throwing in the dice now.
Got it.
So you got 2 purple for melee. Those are immediately upgraded for adversary.
2. Adversary 2, right?
Yes, adversary 2. So you're going to have 2 red.
Yep.
You're going to have 2 setback dice for its melee defense.
Yep.
You're going to have 1 setback die for the fear failed check.
Okay.
1 additional setback die on this round because you're peeing yourself a little bit.
Wait a second. One setback die.
That's your 2 threat on your discipline check there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. And the last setback die is due to the mist.
Ooh. Alrighty then. Okay. So
Now,
I have. Okay.
Also, one last thing. It's silhouette 3. You're silhouette 1.
I get.
Throw in another boost die.
Throw in
there you go.
a boost die. Sweet. All right. So I moved. I'm going to aim. Oh no! No, I did my berserking attack. Okay.
Yes, you did.
So this is 3 challenge dice. No, 5 challenge dice, 5 setback dice, a boost die, and 2 challenge dice, or 2 not challenge dice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
had
5
it right.
proficiency dice, whatever. Ugh. Okay, this is gonna be pretty good, I hope. All right.
Oof.
Darn it, I missed. I missed in the miss. But I got a triumph.
Whoosh.
I got a triumph and 4 advantage.
All right. You missed
Which
to hit the
means-
snack, but
Yes.
there's all these jade statues in the area, or perhaps you wave your shield and clear the mist with an epic whoosh.
Yes.
What do you want there?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna spend 3 advantage to clear the mist with my shield.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also going to. I actually chinked its armor. And I'm going to ignore its melee defense for the next round.
So when
Using
you
my
hit it
triumph.
with your sword,
Yeah.
okay, when you hit it with your sword just hits the scales and rakes across them, and the scales flip up, exposing its belly beneath.
There we go. That's it. And that was for my triumph. And that's it. It's turn.
Excellent. So the creature has reared its ugly head, and it has its spines, and it just aims its tail directly down at you, Neo, and it shakes its tail, and rain of spines come down at you.
Nice.
So we're going to have...
attack.
Yes, it's going to be at short range, essentially, because it's way up in the air, the tail.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 1 purple difficulty. What is your range defense?
My range defense is 1. I am 2 silhouettes smaller than it, so that'll add another boost.
That adds another setback die.
Or setback die, yep.
Yep, so I'm currently looking at a 2 yellow, 1 green, 1 purple, 2 black pool. It took the round beforehand to aim.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will also aim a second time. And then I'm going to be spending one of my GM story points
Nice.
to upgrade
Wait a second.
my 3rd die
Shit,
to a yellow.
I forgot to add my berserking to my check.
Okay.
I did hit it.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, you did it wrong.
I did it wrong. but I did hit it.
Okay. So
8 damage.
we won't unspend how you did your
Correct.
threats or your advantage and your triumph.
Mhm.
But how much damage did you do?
I did 8.
Okay. It has a soak of 5, so it takes 3.
Sweet.
Okay. And so I'm looking at a 3 yellow, 2 blue, 2 black, 1 purple pool. Are you happy?
Why don't you flip a story point here, because it's epic stuff, man. I'm fighting a big ass snake.
Okay. Here it comes. Grab that red die. I took it out. All right, here it is. This is going to hurt you more than it hurts me.
No.
So I am left with 2 successes and 4 advantage.
Nice.
So I'll take
2 strain.
For the first hit. Then I will activate auto fire and hit you a second time.
I'll take 2 more strain.
And then I'll activate auto fire and hit you a third time.
And I'll take 2 more strain. All right. Ow!
And now I can't use the tail for 2 rounds.
Nice. That's good. So yeah, with that, it didn't do damage, didn't do any wounds to me, but I did take strain. Oh man.
All right.
Oof.
Amelia, you have yet to go.
Yes. So Amelia, now that the mist has cleared a little bit, she sees her target a bit more.
Oh yeah.
And that some kind of opening in the scales has shown up. She will use one of her talents as a maneuver, suffers a strain for it, of parkour. She runs up some of the statuary and places herself in a more strategic position to get a good bead on it. So maybe she gets a boost die for it?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm asking.
He's a trickster.
All right.
He's a freaking trickster.
She's Trixie.
And she's Trixie. And then she'll make her her range attack with her bow of Artemis.
Oh.
Of course, she has precision, which means she can use her cunning of 5 instead of her agility.
Oh.
Nice.
Awesome sauce.
Mm-hmm. And maybe eventually, hopefully she'll be able to use her exploit talent as well. We'll see if with a successful attack that'll may ensnare it.
Nice.
Right.
So we'll see. All right.
Let's build your positive pool.
Build the pool back up to the bow of Artemis. So a nice pool of 1 ability dice and 4 proficiency, or is it the reverse? Anyway, 4 yellows, 1 green. And since her weapon is superior, already starts with an advantage.
Nice.
Correct.
And of course,
I see here the weapon is accurate too.
Yep. So 2 accurates, and of course
you somehow convinced me to give you yet a third.
That's it. But I don't have any story points, so I can't double the number of boosts.
No, actually you do. There is 1 story point right now.
Oh, I thought we only had the 1.
No,
you
we
have
had
1.
2. Yeah, we had 2 technically. All right.
I'm tracking it. You have 1.
All right, so I'll spend it to double the number of boost points for my too clever by far. So adding 3 more.
Fate
Yes.
is in your hands. However, I have 3 story points on the GM side.
I know.
Yes, you do.
So
I don't
first
know.
off,
My buddy's rolling with some 6 freaking boost dice.
6 boost dice. That's right.
So what's at least the base difficulty would be short range.
Yep.
So 2 purple, but we're upgrading it because it's adversary 2, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Wait. No.
Short range
range is 1.
Oh, all right.
Normally. We're upgrading twice, so it's going to be 1 of each.
Okay,
One red, one
perfect. That's it. So make sure to get everything straight. It has defense, I believe.
Range defensive 2.
All right, 2 black.
And up here where you are, the mist is not cleared away. If you had stayed on the ground where your friend has cleared the mist with a swipe of his shield, you might not have had that effect. But here, the mist is swirling. Add another setback die.
All right, fair enough.
Nice.
All righty.
And now, you're standing on a statue, you hope.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip a GM story point.
To upgrade that ability, that purple?
And the sole purpose of, with a despair, I'm going to trigger a surprise.
If any. Alrighty. So we're sitting in a nice big pool right there. All right, let's roll it. Woohoo! So we've got
that's happy noises.
Yeah. 2 successes, 9 advantages.
Holy crap!
And a triumph.
Nice. How much damage is that?
So 2, 9, and 1. All right, so let me just go back to my character sheet. And her bow doesn't fire normal arrows. It's when she pulls the string, it's a greenish energy arrow. So even if she had missed, it could have been guided back into their possible target.
But she hit.
But she did hit. So that's a total of 8 damage.
I will soak. Is that any pierce?
No piercing, but it has a crit 3, so I think I might
I'll soak
activate
5 of
crit.
that.
Yeah.
And only take 3 more wounds.
All right.
The beast sits at 25 of its 31 wounds.
I did intend to use her exploit at rank 2. So when she makes a range attack, she can suffer 2 strain to add the ensnare quality to the attack, which will last 2 rounds.
Okay.
So that adds that quality. She can use 2 advantages to activate that, that ability. And then leaving her with 7 advantages. So we'll, of course, use at least 3 to activate a crit.
Okay.
Another 3 to add another crit, so basically plus 10.
Plus 10.
And the triumph, plus 10 again.
Okay, so roll a crit at plus 20.
There you go. So there we go. Go back to the dice pool, which is nice. Live. Jesus, there we go. Numbered. I want the numbered one. There we go. And plus 30.
20.
Oh, no, plus 20, sorry.
It's not boost dice. You can't just automatically assume
Can't
you have
just
max.
No. So base 27 plus 20, 47.
47.
Mm-hmm.
Headringer. The target increases the difficulty of all intellect and cunning checks by 1 until the critical is healed. So your arrow shot hits it in the skull, and you see it shake, and venom just goes flying from its jowls.
Catch it! Catch it!
Yep.
Collect the venom!
And that is it for round 1.
I do have one advantage. I do have one advantage left, so I would send a boost die to the next character acting.
Nice.
Okay. Next
Do you want to do a round 2, or do we want to leave it as a cliffhanger?
Oh, let's do one more.
One more?
Why not?
Sure.
Why not?
Round 2!
Epic.
Go ahead,
This is epic.
Chris.
I'll go. Sure, I'll go, and I'll add that boost die.
There we go.
I am going to be activating defensive maneuvers, taking 3 strain.
Okay.
So you'll be upgrading melee checks 3 times to hit me.
Whoosh!
Yeah.
Good.
All right. And then got rid of the mist, got rid of the melee defense, and I'm no longer feared,
and the snake,
right?
No. And the snake is ensnared as well.
Okay. It can't move. Cool. And then, so how many boost dice, or how many setback dice do I have on that? It was 5. I'm counting just one more, but I can't think of for what.
So base 2 defense at least. So
It's 2 defense. The fear.
Is that continuing because I failed?
Yeah.
For the encounter. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
You
good.
get 1 setback die for the entire encounter when
Got it.
failing
Okay.
the fear.
That sounds good. Okay. All right. So I have 1 setback die, a boost die, 2 challenge dice, 5 proficiency dice.
And some advantage. And a success.
3 advantage and a success to be added to this as well. All right, here we go. Unless you want to do anything to the pool.
Well,
Shall
no.
No? Okay. Okay, then. All right. Those cancel there. So, I am set with 2 successes, 7 advantage. All right. 2 successes will do... that'll do 9 damage on it.
All right. It will soak 5 of that, taking 4 more. It's taken 10 wounds thus far.
Nice. Okay, so of my 7...
1/3 of its wounds.
Nice. So of my 7 advantage, I will activate crit twice on it to add 10%, so add 20% on a crit.
Okay.
Let me roll the crit. 37... 57.
57 is Agonizing Wound. The target increases the difficulty of all brawn and agility checks.
Nice.
Increase.
Nice.
Ugh.
So I will heal 3 strain with the rest of those 3 advantage just because of, all right, I'm ready. I'm defensive now. I'm getting ready to go. And with my triumph, I would very much like to activate the sunder quality of my sword and potentially hack off a few of those spines of his tail so he can't auto-fire. Maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
Is that worth a triumph?
Sure. So the tail, after it fired at you,
Yeah.
it dips down just within reach, and you take that Greek warrior stance, defensive stance behind the shield, lead forward. You stick a thrust into its gullet, or into its belly, underneath the scales that you left exposed last turn, and on your backswing, whoosh, you hack off the newly growing spines.
Nice. Maybe delays it around or something like that.
Sure.
To prepare, whatever. Sweet. All right. Your
The
turn.
creature will roar. Oh, well, it's a big hiss. It's
We spare no expense for special effects on the show.
It looks at the two of you and lunges at Amelia.
Oh, no. Oh.
Is going to strike out at Amelia.
Good thing.
All right.
Hopefully scoring a triumph. So this is a brawn plus brawl. So I'm looking at 4 dice now. What is your... Oh, sorry. Melee, it's going to be 3 purple because I add difficulty to brawn checks.
Yep.
Okay.
What is your melee defense?
She has 2 thanks to her panoply of the Great Huntress armor and cloak.
I will take my maneuver to aim that shot.
All right.
That's strike.
And I will use my out-of-turn incidental, suffer 2 strain with my dodge ranked at 2 ranks of dodge, and upgrade that twice.
Excellent. Okay.
As she leaps from one statuary to another.
Nice.
All right. Well, the creature is aiming at your feet specifically, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm dropping one of my green dice and upgrading by spending a GM story point.
Nice.
That's okay. She's been practicing her samba, so.
So, just so you know, the pool sits at players 2, GM 1. Would you like to do anything to pool?
Yeah, because we're retrieving this valuable poison. She'll spend a story point because they have to succeed.
Yes,
Okay, here goes. Whoosh.
Spare.
No despair, but I don't think I hit.
Oh.
All right. That cancels that. That cancels that. Yep, I'm left with 2 failures and 2 advantage.
Ooh.
So for my 2 advantage, this strikes the ground at your feet. And you slide down the pillar. You still keep your feet, but you lose your high ground.
Aha.
Nice.
That's okay.
And the pillar it doesn't shatter, but it shakes, and I'd like you both to make a perception check.
All right. Fair enough. Perception.
1 green die. 2 advantage.
All right. What's the difficulty?
Sorry. 2 purple.
All right.
Average. Normal.
All right. Ooh, 2 successes, 3 advantage.
When you were sliding down the side of that statue, it's not actually
doing the Legolas thing.
It's not made of jade.
Oh.
It's almost like it's made of glass and filled with serpents.
Ooh. More snakes.
Oh, no.
Hundreds of tiny little vipers.
Oh.
Oh, no.
And now you look around you and you're surrounded by hundreds of those statues filled with tiny vipers.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my gosh. Oh.
Okay. Your turn.
All right, Amelia.
All right. Yes, Amelia will try to... Maybe she can take down Mama Snake once and for all. So she will take aim as she's sliding down. All right. So let's see here. Whoops. Character. So come on. So she's got a few abilities.
I should have passed boost dice on to my trickster. Like a crap ton of them. So you could double them up.
Well, I can only do that once per session anyway. So.
Oh, well, then there we go. But regardless.
That's okay. As long as you have one story point, I might use my lucky strike.
Ooh.
Which,
let me guess. You linked it to your brawn?
Yeah, right. Cunning, I think it is.
Yep.
All right. So go back here. Where's my ability? There we go. Pull back the bow and
Let fly.
yes, let's fly. So again, 1 red, 1 purple as a base.
Range defense. Add 1 setback die for fear.
Mm-hmm. And the two boosts for accurate. And I will spend a story point. Well, I can wait until I see if I strike actually. Yeah. So there we go.
I will be spending a GM story point to upgrade.
All right.
Because of that fear of
yes.
missing now.
Snakes.
If you hit the glass and shatter it, what would happen?
That's it. And I will keep my story point expenditure in case I use my talent.
Okay.
All right, so let's go. And okay. So Tony will still like this. 4 successes, 3 advantages, and a despair.
Oh yeah!
Oh no!
But I will still spend my story point to add my cunning to the damage.
Okay.
So with 4 successes, base damage 6, that's 10, plus another 5, 15 damage.
All right, she'll soak 5 of that, taking 10 more. Oof! She is at 20 of her 31 wounds.
Yeah. And activate with the 3 advantages, another crit.
Really? Did it heal up?
No.
No.
What? Did you?
The math. Because I did damage to it, and she just did another 10.
Mm-hmm.
25 plus my 5.
You did 3. She did. You did 3. She did 3. You did 4. She did 10.
And how much does it have?
It's taken 20 of its 31.
Oh, it's taken 20. Okay, that was what I thought you said. It has 20.
Oh no. Sorry.
The other way around.
My bad.
That's my miss. That
was
was
a
my
misspeak on my part.
No.
It is at 11 of
It's
its
at
31
11.
moons.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Does that help?
That does. Because my heart's already pounding because I know how you're going to spend the despair.
Yeah. So come on, go back to my dice. I want to just roll my
3 advantage, right?
the 3 advantage of the crit.
So
So there we go.
So it's
They're
got
there.
two crits on it.
It already has a
right?
crit.
Two. I
Two
critted
crits?
it. I critted it as well. So plus
All right,
20%.
so plus 20%. Ugh, I only rolled a 4, so 24.
So 24 is
Another
off
advantage.
balance. Add a setback die to a next check. But
Uh-oh.
that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
So your
last round.
arrow hits her,
Yeah.
and she reels, and when she does, that tail slaps out, and that statue that you were standing next to
Yeah, that
shatters,
Uh-oh.
and the area is filled with serpents.
Oh, no.
Hundreds of tiny, venomous serpents.
What will our heroes do now?
I don't know, but why did it have to be snakes now?
Yeah, I know.
And that's it. We're done.
Oh, that is
Advantageous Threats.
epic, man. That was our most epic one yet.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the show. We had lots of fun with our Advantageous Threats.
It was so epic. It was very epic.
Exactly. Very
I thought it was
mythical.
mythical.
Or mythically. Well, it was mythic, but epic in a sense that it'll be spoke of in stories yet to come.
Exactly. Bards will sing of our epic exploits. It wasn't just a hit or myth kind of thing.
Oh, and boom, and there it is.
Yes.
You don't disappoint.
No. And
Who you
so
want to shout out to, bud?
this week I want to shout out to the Wild Eye. They're still producing lots of quality shows. They've got their new co-host, Carl Kiesler, who's lending a little bit more class and knowledge to the show.
Class to a classless system.
That's it.
There we go.
Everyone knows Carl Kiesler for all the excellent, setup he does for his games and great ideas that he comes up with. So he helps flesh out the group quite nicely. So go listen to them on the Nerds International Network. Chris, anything else?
Well, hey, what we have coming up next, buddy? You're running our actual play with.
Am I? Oh yeah, right.
Yes,
I'm in.
Tony, myself, and a guest star to adventure in your Dragonstar setting that you are converting from 3.5 edition of D&D,
Yes.
right? Or
Yes,
a D20,
exactly.
a D20.
Yeah, the old D20 System 3.5 edition that Fantasy Flight Games actually produced years ago. So I've been working on that. Some other people on Fantasy Flight forums had started it, but I think I've done quite a lot of work.
Awesome.
I'm still doing a lot of stuff. There's still lots of other stuff to work on,
Good.
but doing little bit by little bit, and I'm looking forward to that game.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. So we'll introduce a special guest next week.
2
Next
weeks.
time?
In 2 weeks, yeah, sorry. Next time.
When they're on the show, during the actual play.
Yeah,
Right
sure.
on.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
Keep it a surprise until then.
Guest.
A surprise guest.
All right. Well, this is Tony, and I'm saying you can reach out to us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me and Stefan, Finding the Narrative on Facebook.
Mhm.
You can get a hold of all three of us, Nerds International or the Finding the Narrative Mayway channels pages. You can talk to Stefan solely, personally, on a interpersonal level at FTN_Genesis. And,
Just you and I. We'll be very
On
private.
Twitter. Yep.
on the Twitters. and you already are listening to us, so you know where to find us. But tell your friends and family: Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and more. We're out there. Give us a listen.
Yep.
Yes.
So this is Tony saying, let's tell a story. Spend some story points.
And this is Stefan say, dare to ask for those boost dice. I did.
And this is Chris. Try to remember the rule of cool, everybody. And to look really close at those fucking statues when you go into a lair of a big-ass serpent. And then, just have fun with it when your partner destroys them.
Wasn't my fault.
Hey, you got to add something to your thing there, Stefan. It's got to say, dare to ask for boost dice and find a way to double them.
Yeah. I did.
That's great.
I think that's the most number of boost dice I've ever had.
And then you doubled it. No.
Yeah. And they got 9 advantages out of it.
That's great.
All right.
All right. So have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Adios.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2020, all rights reserved.